Well, welcome post-lunch. And as I mentioned this morning, as I started off, the two main mission statements here, and we have it for our attendees: connect, 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 and learn. And we hope that you've been doing the connecting. We hope you've been doing the learning. As I also spoke about this morning, the New York Venture Summit has not only been the longest running and most successful venture conference in New York, with a mission of connecting entrepreneurs to investors, but we have taken a lot of pride at showcasing what we call the innovators, entrepreneurs who want to disrupt the way things are done in a whole host of ways, whether it's tech, whether it's life science, whether it's clean tech. Uri Levine is one of the most prolific disruptors in the world. As Joe mentioned, he's the founder of Waze, one of the world's largest community-based traffic and navigation apps that permit drivers to share real-time traffic and road information, which saves drivers time, gas costs, and frankly keeps drivers sane. He's now, and by the way, Google bought Waze for over $1 billion a couple of years ago, and it was one of the unicorns that I spoke about this morning as well, and I have it on my phone. He's now moved over on and formed FeeX, what's called the Robin Hood of fees, a company that looks and identifies hidden fees charged by financial services firms and wants to take that money and put it back to the investors. It's a $1 billion plus, huge market out there, and he's seen a problem and he's tackling it with a solution. And that's the essential element of the disruptor, is to see a major problem, fall in love with that problem, and then create a solution, find that solution. Urie's more than just a disruptor though. He's more than just a successful serial entrepreneur. He's more than just a problem solver. He gives back, and he gives back to the entrepreneurial community. Urie is a terrific and very user-friendly entrepreneurial mentor. And when he speaks, his words of wisdom are golden, and his story is just delightful to hear. So I'd like to introduce Uri Levine.
So I'm happy to be here, and with this introduction, there were so many things that I didn't know about myself. So I'll try. What I will try to do this afternoon, just after lunch, is actually take you through a journey, an entrepreneurship journey, and maybe the Waze journey, and I've noticed that there are many entrepreneurs here. So some tips that are, I would call them maybe the sum of all of my mistakes. So if you can take some of those and make different mistakes, make yours, not mine, then maybe that will be even valuable to you. As mentioned, I started Waze in 2007, and it was acquired 3 years ago, exactly 3 years ago, by Google, and I left the day after in order to start a new venture or a new journey, and I'll speak about that as well. So yeah, a little bit of passion for startups, and I think that this is maybe the common denominator of all the entrepreneurs, is that they build passion for the change that they want to make, and then the Waze journey, and a little bit of me after Waze. So entrepreneurship in general, it starts with a dream and a passion, and sometimes you will be running into a problem that you kind of tell yourself, okay, I'm going to actually solve that. And you develop the passion over time, and after that there is the willing to sacrifice. And it's always a longer roller coaster than you think it is. I mean, going up and down the journey itself is sometimes you would ask people and they would tell you that if they would know up front that this is going to be the journey, they wouldn't even start. But they start because of the dream and the passion. And there is no doubt what's next. For an entrepreneur, if you would ask an entrepreneur what's next, it's always the next startup. And in most cases, they already know what's next startup is going to do. And to a certain extent, so entrepreneurship is exactly like falling in love. Try to compare your date and your venture, and you will see that there are many ideas that you thought of, or many problems that you face, and eventually you fall in love with one problem that you decide that you're going to solve, or you are going into many dates, and eventually there is only one. And at the beginning, you kind of dream of the venture, and you wake up in the morning and you write some notes, but you don't share that with anyone. And later on, you start to share your idea and your concept with other people, which is pretty much similar like taking your date to meet your friends. And when people tell you that your ideas suck or she's not for you, you actually disengage from your friends. And so in general, I would say if you are not in love in what you are doing, find something else that you do love. Love your idea, because otherwise the journey itself is going to be very complex and very hard, and if you're not in love, then you will actually fail. First year, so who of the entrepreneurs in this room actually on their first year of their company? Okay, so this is maybe especially for you. So there are a few elements for the first year that are critical. The first one would be fundraising. If you need to raise funds, then this is like fuel to your car. You cannot go into this journey without fuel. And then you need to realize, okay, in order for me to be able to become fundable, what I actually need is I need these and these and these assets. So I need maybe a team, I need a proof of concept, I need to demonstrate that the market is significant. There are so many specific assets that you need to create, and you focus your plan on actually building those assets so you can get funded, refuel your car for the next part of the journey, and then the next phase will be actually pretty much the same. If you need further funding, then you'll do the same. You basically say, okay, in order for me to get funded again, what I actually need is these and these and these milestones or these assets to be created so I can get funded. An interesting part is that when you start your journey, you actually start few things at the same time. One of them is the mission, the problem that you're going to solve. The other one is actually the DNA of the company that you're building. Now, at the end of the first year, the DNA of the company will be pretty much done. It's up to you to decide what kind of DNA you would like to do, and you can do that only on the first year. Later on, it's very hard to change. And so you can basically say, okay, these are the values that we stand for. These are the values of the company. These are the type of people that I would like to bring on board in order for this working place to be the best working place we ever had. And we have done that at Waze. We have done that at FeeX. We have done that at all the startup that I guide and mentor. I basically tell them, look, you're going to spend most of your days here. In the next 5 or 10 years of the journey, you're going to spend a lot of time here. And if this is not the working place that you dreamed of, it's not going to make it. It's going to be a nightmare, essentially, and not the one that you dreamed of. The mission is critical. Execution, first year execution, it's only about product. And product usually will be measured by its retention. So if you are able to solve the problem that you promised or deliver the value that you promised, then you will see people are using the service again and again and again. And the last one will be focus. And focus, in most cases, it's not what we do, it's what we don't do. Because saying no is the hard choices. So every time that we need to say, to decide on something, and say, is that actually going to fulfill our ability to deliver the value that we say? And if it's not, we shouldn't do that. Even though that they might be nice business opportunity or nice spin-offs or nice pivot or nice anything. Pivot, by the way, is a nicer way to say major fuck up, everything that we assume doesn't work, and therefore we take our investors' money and do something else with it. This is people. So focus is not about what we're doing, it's about what we are not doing. The journey is long, and in particular, the longest part of it is the one that says lack of traction. And this is where, essentially, it's like crossing the desert. So when you cross the desert, imagine yourself that you walk all day, and it seems like you haven't made any progress, right? It's only sand around you. And you go to sleep at night, you wake up in the morning, and it's still only sand around you. So you're making progress in baby steps, and as long as you are still on course, eventually you will get out of the desert, and you will be able to make the impact that you want to do. But it's a long part of the journey. And this is where, if your mission is not right, and if your DNA of the team is not right, this is where you're more likely going to fail. So at the end of the journey, there is always the realization of it, and people would think that you basically made the right choice, but essentially you were in a journey of trying something that doesn't work, trying something else, and at the beginning you try something, it doesn't work, you try something completely different, and it still doesn't work, and then you go back to the original, and you maybe change that just a little bit, tuning it a little bit, and you keep on tuning it. You keep on releasing new versions of that. You keep on fixing the problems that you ran into. You keep on listening to the users, and basically it's a journey from one failure to another failure, or to a journey from one unsuccessful event to another unsuccessful event, until you find something that does work. The first time that you get to anything, you celebrate that. Much more important to celebrate is actually when your system crashes from overloading, and not with a single user, right? So let's redefine that. Or if someone is actually sue you for patent infringement, this actually means that you are important enough for someone to take an action. Or if you experience fraud for the first time, and by the way, don't deal with the fraud until you actually get there, and then the second time that you see the same type of fraud, solve it, and first time that you see fraud, then open a bottle of champagne. The best thing, by the way, is when you get a thank you letter or a thank you greeting from a user, that you actually know that you have created the value for them. The value that you thought at the beginning that you were and so earlier today, over there, she approached me and she said, thank you for Waze. And when you're in the consumer space, there is nothing more rewarding than people telling you, okay, you actually helped me. You actually helped me to avoid traffic jams or avoid speed tickets. By the way, I didn't get a speed ticket since 2008. And so Waze definitely works in that sense. Or you help me to save money, and whether or not you help me to save money on my retirement plan, and that would be FeeX, or you help me to save money on an airline ticket that I already paid for, and this is Fairfly over there. Or you help me to save money on a store credit that I actually got rid on the Zeek marketplace. So startup journey in general, we're looking for a problem, and we're looking for the user's perspective of the problem. So, most of us probably start their own startup because they faced the problem and they decided that, okay, this is a major problem. It's a problem for me, so therefore I'm going to address that. And then the next thing that we did is we assumed that we are a good enough sample of the audience, and we are not. We are an excellent sample of one person. And so find the users and figure out what's their perspective of the problem, and then you can build a solution. And that's essentially the early part of the startup. As soon as you find a solution, as soon as you define all these three, you're actually shifting gears and moving into the next phase, which is, okay, now let's go ahead and replicate that. We find something that works, we're going to replicate that. So the Waze journey, and this is where it's becoming specific for the Waze and very interesting. but we don't check the price after that. And the reality is that in the same way that the price was going up and down before, it keep on going up and down after. And so what Fairfly does is actually monitor the price of your own itinerary, the ticket that you already purchased, after you purchase it. And as soon as the price drops, it actually alerts you and tells you, okay, guess what? Right now there are $500 on the table, and you can rebook the same flight or equivalent alternative and recover that money. So I think that they want to tell me here something.
Well, what I do want to tell you is thank you very much. I mean, as I started at the beginning, these are nuggets of gold from you. And the advice that you've given the entrepreneurs and the founders out there is priceless. So thank you, Uri, very much.
Thank you very much, Uri. We greatly appreciate you spending your time here, your great insight with us. I'm going to ask everyone, please make their way to their respective rooms right away. We're going to start with our presentations, round 3, right now.